Hey everyone, my name is David Lee, and welcome to the Marvel Heroes 2016 live stream. I think I called it Developer Part 1. You probably don't recognize me, I'm new here. I'm the new community manager here. I've been here for about a month, oh, how rude of me. We also have my guest here.
Not rude, it's fine.
Yeah, Mike May, or as you guys know him on the forums, MichaelMayhem. Thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you for having me, David, and welcome to the team.
Yeah, thank you. We wanted to do this live stream. We want to do these kind of set of live streams for you guys, the players, especially people who are returning to this game, mainly because, as you guys know, there's a lot of big changes coming to this game. Yes, me personally, being a kind of a returning player, I'm very excited to see them. But there's a lot of different sentiments out there as well.
You guys have been very active on Test Center, and we thank you very much for all the feedback. It has been, fun fact, you guys broke the Test Center daily active user record, I believe 3 days in a row. Definitely 2, but possibly 3. More players than we've ever had testing upcoming content in the history of the game, and we could not be more excited or happy for all the feedback. So thank you guys.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. With that, I'll give you guys a little bit of background about myself. I've been working in the game industry for about over a decade now, actually. I've been in the Bay Area for about a year, and it's been pretty fun. I moved pretty much up here for the video game industry, and I'm very glad I did it. The weather, it's actually I prefer it to be a little bit warmer, but I still really like it.
You wouldn't like where I'm from then.
Oh, right. Okay. But with that, I'm sure you guys know in the chat and in the world of Marvel Heroes, you know who MichaelMayhem is. But if you can,
I'm a celebrity.
Yeah. Of course. Everyone knows who you are. But just tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I started off much like everyone in chat here. I started off in the Marvel Heroes beta back in 2013 actually 2012 as a beta tester, and I really loved the potential of what the game had. Like, I beta tested a lot of games, early access, that sort of thing. I'm really into that and giving developers feedback. The thing that attracted me so much to Marvel Heroes was it got the core game feel right in terms of like the general combat loop. Like it was just fun to go beat stuff up. And like so many games don't get that right. And you have to get it right. And if you get it right, you can build everything else on top of it. Mm-hmm. And make these layered mechanics and content and all these cool things. And that's what I enjoyed, and so I kept giving feedback, and eventually they contacted me to come join them.
Oh, great!
As a junior designer, and now here I am.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm hearing more and more of those stories, like more nowadays. It's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah, we actually have hired, I think, 3 or 4 other people out of the community since then. So it's just something that we, if people enjoy the game, they know a lot about it. That brings a very valuable skill that we can recognize.
Yeah, you have a lot of passion not only for the game, but for this industry. There's possibly a place for you, a gazillion.
Yeah.
Great. But with that, guys, with this first part of the live stream that we're doing is mainly kind of going over the big updates, the hero updates, the Infinity system, and item changes, and some we're going to go over the events as well. And we have some new stuff to show you. I think we teased on social media that we're going to show off a new team up.
And brand new team up?
Yeah. So we're very excited about that as well.
And you will be too. Trust me. Possibly the most requested team up ever.
Oh, really?
We'll see.
Awesome.
See what you guys think.
Great. But with that, if you guys notice any off oddities with the live stream, whether it's with the in-game volume of the game or the sounds of our voices or anything, just let us know in the Twitch chat. We'll fix it right away. And once again, if you guys have any questions regarding about the hero update, Infinity system, and also item changes, please let us know. Obviously, there's a big elephant in the room regarding about the recent blogs we put out, the mobility update, and also the difficulty slider in BIF. We definitely want to address that as well, but just to let you guys know, we have a part 2 coming up. Probably, I want to do a stream at the end of the month where we go into deep dive and talk about that kind of stuff with you guys, and we'll also have the Art of Roar on as well, who wrote up those wonderful blogs, who's been working very intimately with those systems, along with yourself, I believe, right?
Yeah, Ben, with the Art of Roar, as you guys know him, has been really adamant about being super detailed about what we're doing internally and giving us a direction that we haven't had in a while. And that direction is very different than the direction that we've had in the past. And I'll even admit, since it's some of the topics are a bit more divisive, like even internally, myself, there was one element that I was like, I don't know about this. And the the fact is we just want to play test it. We want to get it in the game. We want to see how it works. And mobility specifically, as soon as I started playing it, I realized the potential. Again, speaking back to potential, like, we've been restricted in so many different ways. I won't go into too much detail because we have a second stream, but we've been so restricted in so many ways in building the game, and everyone has seen that. The players have seen that. And we will be able to change all that. We'll be able to make this a much, much better experience, and we will talk more in detail about that on the next stream.
Oh, yes. You'll definitely want to build more, having more fun, and definitely building more of a challenge in the game, which I always appreciate. But with that, we're going to be showing off a few heroes, their hero updates, and obviously MichaelMayhem will kind of go over those changes and just talk about them. If you have any questions about these heroes, or maybe you want to see different heroes up on our live stream, let us know in the Twitch chat. But let's switch over.
Let's go.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
All right, so first off, I want to go over, just in case you didn't check out the blogs that we had. You hadn't read the forums, you were just tuning into the stream for the first time, and you're seeing, what do you mean by all these giant updates, biggest systems update ever? What we've done, as you can see by the power tree here for Iron Man, is the third tree is now completely different than it was before. It's not a third tree of powers, it is a third tree of what we call talents and traits. And I'll go over each of those. So traits are level 1 passives that unlock right out of the gate, and what they do is they give you an idea of how to build your character. We haven't really in the past given new players especially a lot of direction on how to progress in items and non-power specific ways. So it's pretty easy to figure out what powers you want just by like what you enjoy using. But items, that can be a bit tricky. So one of the things we did is we declared some base stats. We actually did this a while back for defense by declaring either defense deflect, deflect dodge, or defense dodge as primary attributes and stats that you should be collecting for defense. And this time around we did the same thing for offense. So now we've chosen 2 of the attributes, and these are the 6 attributes in the game if you haven't checked it out in a while. And we chose 2 of them based on the hero's lore as things that make sense that they should have. Like Iron Man, for example, he is one of the most intelligent people in the Marvel Universe. Like, intelligence makes so much sense for him. You could debate the second one. There's been some debates on strength versus energy, but we landed on strength because his suit makes him super strong. And those 2 stats will increase your offensive power, and that's something that you should probably look for in items from 1 to 60 and all through endgame. That's something that's always going to be a consistent way for you to progress your hero. They also have a mechanic trait that helps to explain some specific unique mechanics about the character. Iron Man's suit power functions relatively the same to Spirit, so he's probably not the greatest example. But someone like a combo point user or Doctor Strange, who has really weird mechanics that might not be clear at first glance, we've now moved those into a power so you can read the tooltip and understand a little bit more if it's the first time checking out the character, or if they have a new mechanic from this talent update that you need to look at.
I'll also make a quick note to that. We have, oddly enough, a lot of our awesome developers are actually in the chat right now answering a lot of questions. So you can still ask your questions, guys, and I'm sure one of our developers might answer them, or we might even ask it ourselves on the live stream as well. So just a quick note.
And then the last trait is the defensive trait, which is similar to the defensive passives that heroes always had. They tell you 2 stats that you should itemize for defensively. They give you some flavorful regeneration or defense or extra health or something like that. And they also where melee characters get more defense, or hybrid characters get their what we call the close quarters buff, which is when you deal damage with a melee attack, you get more defense for a little while. So if you're in close quarters combat, you're going to take less damage. And that's all this unlocks at level 1 right out of the gate. Then we have the piece de la resistance, the talents. These are 15 talents per hero, 5 sets of 3. They are similar. If you played our game in the last year and a half or so, you would have seen specializations, which we added with Dr. Doom, where you get 1 choice of 3, and you can choose whichever one kind of fits your playstyle, or whichever power feels like it would be more useful to you. And we just expanded that out to a big row of 15 selections. And these can range from augments to just passive effects, changes to your mechanics. They could remove a mechanic entirely. A great example would be a combo point user. That's always been a divisive topic. Some people love combo points, some people really don't like them. All of those guys now have a talent where you can just click it and say, I don't want combo points, get rid of them. And all the mechanics change to support your decision. So the finisher power is now a cooldown of powers. There's no building up of combo points. It completely changes the character into something that you enjoy. And that's like the core of what we wanted to do with this. We wanted to make it so that you could build the characters the way you wanted. and make you feel different from someone else who has made similar decisions, but maybe they changed, one or two talents.
They might even have like the same item set, but still offering the talent system really creates that variety, like you and the Art of Roar have always been talking about in the blog posts, and always reinforcing on the forums as well. So.
Yeah, and to reinforce this again, specializations were one of the better received things that we ever did. It gave us a way to make hard choices and make people actually feel different. And that's something that PowerPoints didn't really let us do. PowerPoints had 160 microscopic decisions that didn't add up to true diversity. And I kind of skipped over that, but as you can see, if you have not been to the first dev blog, we have removed PowerPoints from the game. We felt that talents were a superior method to making your character more unique to you and making the decision. We don't want you to make 160 really tiny little decisions on 1% power here, 1% power there. We want you to make a few big, impactful decisions.
Yeah.
So you can look at the character, read through the tooltips, and go, I want that over there, and I want that. Okay, let's play. Instead of clicking 100 times and trying to min-max and figure out the best, best way to eke out another percentage of damage. Like, no, it's not the Marvel universe. Like, that's not part of what we want. We want. If you want to go beat people up as Iron Man with his punches, here's pick these talents and go for it. If you want to blast with beams, here you go.
I'm definitely the player who kind of wants to just jump in and just start playing.
Yeah.
And, adding points in, it can be fun, but for me, just figuring out what skills I want to use, like which talents I want to pour into is always best for me.
Yeah. And speaking on that topic, the last big piece of information from the first dev blog is the skill bars, formerly skill bars 1, 2, and 3. We've shortened that down to just one skill bar. And here's why that is. When you have a limited number of skills that you can take into combat, you can pick 8, any 8 you want, and that is not including your travel power, which is on a dedicated button. The 8 skills you want make your build. And it says that we don't have to make things like shared cooldowns or anti-requisites or these 2 damage over time effects don't stack or these 2 buff effects don't stack, because we're doing all that for balance reasons, because you can pick every single skill, and if you master of the keyboard, you can use 15 different skills at any one time. You can say, I'm going to use Shift 2, and they have macros and custom UI things, and they've manipulated their INI files, and they've done all this stuff. Because we made that the best build. Like, we made it so that is how you compete, and that is how you do the most damage. But for the most part, it makes us unable to make open-ended character designs. It says that we have to say, okay, well, these powers can't be taken together, and these 2 powers can't be taken together, and if you take this signature, you can't take these things. And that was all arbitrary, because what the real problem was is we just wanted you to pick a set number of skills and go into combat. And we just hammered down on that and say, no, that's how the system is going to be. The system is going to do that for us. So we don't have to do all that extra work. So in the same patch, pretty much all shared cooldowns, non-stacking damage over time effects, all that stuff is gone. Everything stacks. You can pick any powers you want. There's no Cable was an example who had skills that said you only get to use this skill if you pick this particular specialization. You can take all of them now. It's fine. We got rid of all that. You can take everything you want.
Yeah, I see it as more variety.
A lot more variety, for sure.
Why don't we play around with Iron Man?
Sure.
You can talk a little bit, maybe show off exactly how putting a certain point to this talent really does affect the certain skills.
Sure. So we'll go over some of them. Iron Man had a group of toggles. He was a unique one. So he had several toggles that sort of did what we wanted to do with talents, where you would be able to toggle it on, and it would trade off some sort of spirit penalty, either reducing your max spirit or making things cost more in exchange for some sort of benefit. So for example, here we have missile targeting, which says when you hit with a power, you're going to fire some automatic missiles. You're going to fire 5 of them, and that's going to cost you a little bit of your suit power. So it's automatic damage, which is nice, but it's going to pretty much put a constant drain on your suit power whenever that happens. So it's a trade-off. All 3 of the top ones of this row are kind of in that same, we affect your suit power. So on the very opposite side of this, if you don't want to have your suit power be draining all the time, instead you want to actually want the opposite. You want it to regenerate. This power says when you hit an enemy, you're going to trigger a arc reactor overload, which restores a percentage of your suit power, and that effect won't kick in unless you have less than 80%. So it restores 20%, but that won't trigger if you have like 99%.
Gotcha.
You got to have enough for it to fill, so you're not losing any, you're not wasting any of that restoration ability.
Okay.
So again, that's for somebody who is burning a lot of their spirit. They don't have a lot of spirit regeneration items, and this is something that's going to fix that rotation for them. So they'll just constantly be getting it back. And then we have overclocking, which is similar to one of his old toggle powers, which says, I'm just going to get damage rating, just flat damage rating. I'm going to increase the amount of bonus damage that you get from spirit or suit power, but all of your suit power costs are going to go up. So everything's going to cost more in exchange for more damage. You're overclocking your systems. And again, this whole row ties to manipulating your suit power costs either up or down in exchange for some other benefit. Any questions on those?
No.
Also, if there are any questions from the chat, feel free to just stop me. Otherwise, I'm just going to go through a bunch of these talents.
Yeah.
All right.
And I'll be sure to keep an eye out for those questions.
So we have another one, reactive armor. I believe this row is all defensive oriented. So this is when you get hit, you can reflect some of that damage and get an absorption shield. So it's going to protect you from damage. But again, that suit power will be drained in exchange for that shield. So it's saying as soon as I get hit, I'm gonna react with an instant shield. My suit knows that I've been damaged, and it's gonna divert some of my suit power into the shields. We have life support, which a former toggle that just resurrects you when you die. So as soon as you're defeated, you immediately regenerate with 100% of your max health. And I believe there's also a damage component that kind of clears the area around you so you're safe.
Yeah, I actually remember that skill prior to this new update, and I've utilized it a lot because I'm not a very good player. I go down fast.
And in theme with all of these talents, it reduces your maximum suit power by 50. So there is a trade-off of saying I'm gonna fluctuate some of my suit power into life support instead.
Definitely bodes to more of like aggressive gameplay style, which I very much do.
You want to dive in, you don't really care how much damage you take. And then the last one is a new one, which is Extremist Healing Nanites, which increases your health regeneration. And it says when you use the power of Arc Reactor Overload, you apply one of the new team buff effects. Team buffs have also been revised for this patch, called Rapid Healing. And Rapid Healing regenerates a very large amount of your allies' health. So it regenerates 60% of their max health over 3 seconds. Numbers to be tuned, but that's what it is right now. And the idea is we actually wanted to integrate some of the things we couldn't do before, such as the team buffs. They were built in an era where raiding was the only thing that we could do. Like, raiding was the end game of Marvel Heroes.
Yeah.
And so we took cues from games that have had similar problems of if everybody can affect everybody with all these allied effects, they stack in such a way that it's impossible to balance.
Yeah.
So we made a series of categories that says, if I apply, I can't remember what they were called back then. I've been living in Talent World for too long. Empowered was a very popular one. If I have Empowered, nobody else can apply that to me. It's just one single layer. Anybody can apply it, but it doesn't stack multiple times. So we've expanded that even further and added things like Rapid Healing, which lets characters actually be healers, or protective shields. There's characters out there that can even specialize all the way down their talents in things that affect their teammates. So you can really build a support class now if you want to.
That's great.
Also in that line, random note, Empowered and Unbreakable are now regular team buffs, which used to be reserved only for ultimate powers, and it created a little bit of an awkward situation with endgame content where people like very carefully timed ultimates. Okay, yours, then 20 seconds, then your 20 seconds.
Gotcha.
So those are all on pretty much standard powers now. So you should be able to keep 100% uptime relatively easily, so you don't have to keep such tight, stopwatches.
Gotcha.
So for the raiders out there, you should be able to keep that up much easier now.
I'm capable of multitasking.
Next up, we have upgrade Arc Reactor, which gives the Arc Reactor Overload a power actually inspired by one of the Ultron Iron Legionnaires. So I'll actually show this one off. This is one that actually changes your ability. So this is the standard Arc Reactor Overload. Do I have dev cheats? I have dev cheats.
Oh, included with sound effects too.
And if we have the talent selected, it pulses multiple times. So it's again, if that's your play style, if you want to go in there and just engage,
that's definitely me.
That's definitely what you want to do.
All right.
Upgrade missile payloads increases your missile damage in case you want to specialize into missiles, and it makes Wrist Rocket apply a burning effect. Lastly, in this go we have Coolant Blast, which it gives the Coolant Blast a cooldown and causes enemies that are frozen to take more damage from either the big slam down attacks, Jet Assistant Slam, or from above.
Gotcha.
And it passively just increases your suit power regeneration as well. So it's helping your systems to cool off and get suit power back faster.
So it's not like one nice benefit. It's like kind of multiple nice like benefits that kind of stack up.
We tried to keep there's some that are pretty simple because they want to be compared against something that's simple. Like if you have a really complex talent compared to just a one-line talent, and even if the one-line talent is just as good, it doesn't look as good.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make sure the complexity level was about equal on any given row.
All right.
Next up, we have the upgrade targeting computer, which makes the old repulsive barrage power, which is his single target suit power spender, this guy over here. It shifts that power altogether into, after I cheat, it completely shifts it into, what's the power? Missile salvo, which is the power that fires multiple missiles and sprays it. So talents cannot just affect a power or give you passive. They can transform a power into something completely different. In fact, here's a great example. Micro lasers. So this one not just transforms the power to a different power. It actually transforms it into a brand new power.
Gotcha.
So this changes his channeled repulsors, which is not a very popular power in endgame builds, into micro lasers, utilizing that lovely little wrist laser on the top of his hand. And what was that?
I just had to take away. Some people were complaining about the tooltip, yeah, which makes sense.
So what this
Trying to be
does?
sneaky about that.
No,
too.
that's okay. What was my repulsors? Here we go, micro laser. So micro laser changes from that, like I said, that repulsor to the wrist laser on top. Much like he's used in the Avengers films many times. He uses it to clear off like debris or things like that. So it does much higher damage.
Movies, yeah.
It does much higher damage, but it has a fixed amount of time that you can channel it, and then it goes on cooldown.
Gotcha.
So it's more high burst damage, but you can't use it all the time effect.
That's great. And once again, I'll let people know in the chat that we are kind of showing off the basic of this Heroes update that's coming into this. Coming to Marvel Heroes, and we do actually have this available in Test Center right now.
Yes.
This with all 59 heroes currently.
Is it still up?
It's still up.
Okay.
Yes.
There was talk about bringing it down. It's still up.
Yes, it's still up. But yeah, we're talking about now. You guys can check it out too. But we just kind of want to give some kind of video content that people understand why these new systems are being implemented, and what the utility is, and just.
Yeah, and not everyone goes to Test Center, watches the forums, and more importantly, we want to make people who may have not played the game in a while see what we've been cooking. We've been saying all year we've been cooking up these really big changes, and we haven't really talked about what they were up until recently last month.
Yeah.
So I'm sure a lot of people were just kind of patiently waiting until seeing what we had in store.
Yeah.
So I'm going to skip a couple of these. Here's a fun one. Jericho Bombardment. This got a brand new art courtesy of one of our artists. You might be familiar with the power. It used to do these kind of pretty plain burst missiles. Now they have this more streamlined shot effect.
That's right.
And if you switch it to upgrade orbital interface, transforms Jericho into satellite strike, which calls down a strike from a orbiting Stark-Tech satellite.
Oh, let's check it out.
Which changes it to energy damage, makes it always crit.
Oh, nice.
And changes it to actual lasers. And then with this talent selected, you also get, which I'm going to dev cheat again. Periodically, you'll get these random burst proc effects. So periodically, if you're attacking enemies and you have upgraded to the orbital satellite, and you just shoot one of your guys here, you'll get these little extra hits on random targets. So the satellite will help you even if you're not calling it down.
That's great. I'm actually seeing a lot of good questions in the Twitch chat, but some of them are really long and kind of extravagant. I feel like that might be better suited for forums.
If it's going to take me a long time to answer your question, probably best for forums. But I'd be happy to take a couple that are small if you have them.
A lot of them are miscellaneous thrown here and there, but I do see a lot of great ones, and I am acknowledging them. I think we should have questions. If you have questions directly related to Iron Man or the Heroes update, that'd be great. We will continue to see if we do see something that we can answer. We'll be sure to answer them. But yeah, we definitely want to show off these heroes. But if it is like that one question I see right now that's super long and very meticulous, you can please provide it in the forums. And our developers, as you guys know, are constantly on the forums answering questions and looking at your guys' feedback. So yeah.
Excellent. And if we have time, maybe we can answer a little bit at the end. So here's an example of the opposite of what I said before, how we said that combo point users could potentially remove the combo points if you didn't like that.
Yeah.
This is an example of a talent which is the inverse. If you think a hero is too simple, maybe there's a talent that can make him more complex. And here's Iron Man's example, upgrade jet thrusters.
Gotcha.
This gives him a similar mechanic to War Machine's heat that says as he uses melee powers, his heat builds up, and when he's overheated, he just wants to get in there and punch guys.
Like in real life.
And then when he's overheated, his coolant blast will instantly cool him back down, because while you're overheated, you're actually going to constantly take damage.
Gotcha.
So it's like a berserk mode.
Nice.
And that adds a brand new secondary resource bar directly at the bottom, which I'm pointing to, but you can see. Just like War Machine. And when he finishes, he should go into an overheat state. Now he's all toasty. And as you can see, my health bar is now ticking down. But my heat bar is not ticking down, so that's not a good sign. That's a bug.
Oh.
But he does much more melee damage while he's overheated. So that's just one example.
Sure. I think this we can answer this question. That's Shadow Gopher asks if Iron Man's main attributes are strength, intellect. What sense does it make it to build him in the energy sense, kind of energy potential kind of sense?
So in the process of changing the attributes, we've actually reduced the amount of power that they get by quite a large margin, in exchange for gaining 4% damage per point that you put into your primaries, as per the offense trait. So it's 4% per strength or intelligence. Energy gives you 0.5% damage, so it's 1/8 as effective. And that was kind of our thinking, is that the bonuses that you get from a non-primary are more flavorful, and they're not as potent as your primaries, and therefore it wouldn't divert you one way or another too much. That being said, that is a very popular point on the test center forums, and it's something we are talking about right now. Actually, we just had a meeting about this this morning, so it is something we might change.
Great.
Because we do understand the difference between 4% and 4.5% can be, everything. Even if we were to tune Iron Man, let's say theoretically we were to tune his melee powers to be 10% higher in exchange for the fact that we know he doesn't double dip. He gets 4% instead of 4.5%.
Sure.
It wouldn't really matter, because the perception is there, and the perception is what is the thing that's more important. Like, it does appear that it's just strictly better, and that we understand. We're thinking of ways we might be able to resolve that.
Yeah, and that's great too. Being able to say that you guys have talking about it. We do see a lot on the forums. Like any kind of feedback that players provide on the forums, it's easy to say that you and the other developers are combing pretty much on like somewhat daily basis to look at that information. Yeah.
Iron Man is an example where energy does make sense, and if push comes to shove, we could do that, but we would have the exact same problem in reverse, where now it would make more sense to be energy and not physical. So it doesn't seem like that is the right answer, and that's why we're talking about different or better answers. Ultimately, we want the true goal is that you pick the items that make sense for the hero. Like Hulk should pick durability and strength. Those are what he's known for.
Yeah.
Hulk should not itemize intelligence or fighting. He's not he fights people, but he's not a martial artist or anything. He just punches. And that's the lore that we're trying to inject into the characters.
Yeah.
There was one more thing I wanted to show off.
Sure.
On Iron Man. I showed off the micro lasers, both the new Jerichos. This is still undergoing. I don't actually know if it's done in this build, but let's find out. Oh, it is. Okay.
Nice.
So he has a new cone blast for melee characters, which is just a new power. Nothing doesn't really correlate directly to the talent upgrades. It was just his melee build was lacking a power, just didn't really have enough to fill out the bar, and so we gave him a new melee blast.
Nice. Something to all the people who love barging in there.
Yeah, and that was a pretty common thing for the melee players, that there was just one power missing. It was just needed something in there.
Gotcha. All right, maybe we can switch to another hero.
Sure. Which one should we switch to?
Well, either maybe Storm or Gambit.
Storm or Gambit.
Yeah.
Either one of those is fine. I'm gonna go to Gambit.
Great. And once again, guys, if you have any questions regarding about any hero updates, or any questions for MichaelMayhem himself, please let us know in the Twitch chat. We're going to be talking about heroes now, and then we'll kind of switch a little bit to the Infinity system, go a little depth into that as well too.
All right. So Gambit is an example where we saw a need for better mechanics. So this was our process, like 59 heroes we had to go through. And one of the first things we looked at is how fun are they to play?
Mm.
Just how enjoyable are they to use? And usually that meant, do they have a mechanic, something that you can think about and work around?
Sure.
And Gambit did not. He had pretty generic melee ranged throw cards, but he didn't really have anything kind of tying it all together that was really thematically appropriate. So we actually revived a bit of an old mechanic called used to be called Kinetic Overcharge. It was like maybe week 1 when we released him, and we ended up removing it shortly after.
Gotcha.
But he has a new primary resource called Kinetic Energy. Kinetic Energy builds up automatically, and then you spend it when it's full. So it's a bit of a new type of resource. You don't spend it until it is fully charged, and then every power will get bonus effects and spend it, and then it's empty again. So how it works is I have 500 kinetic energy right now. So let me find something that spends it.
It kind of reminds me of Captain Marvel, where
Here's a good one.
when she has her full sonic energy, she's gonna deal more damage.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's an example of one we added for his all-in kind of bow whirlwind power. If you have kinetic energy to spend, while you're doing it, he's now gonna chuck cards at people at random. And each one of those cards just takes a little bit of kinetic energy. And then it's going to end up going down, and eventually he will stop chucking them because he's out of energy. And now he's going to build it back up. So as soon as it hits empty, it's going to start recharging. So all it is bonus effects. You can use all your powers all the time. Nothing really requires kinetic energy. It just spends it for extra stuff. So it's just, you don't feel bad when it's completely drained. You don't feel like, oh, I'm out of energy, I can't do anything. It just means you won't get the special snowflake effects.
Yeah, you just feel a little bit, you burst of awesome, kind of.
Yeah, you get this awesome burst, and you can itemize to increase your kinetic energy to make that burst period last longer. There's talents that can also make your recharge period slower, so you can be kind of kinetic energy up all the time. We also gave him some really cool new powers. Here's one of, I think, my favorite, called Batter Up, where he's going to use his kinetic energy and his staff together, which we did not do before. I'm very happy we did it now.
I feel like we got a kind of an important question.
Oh, okay.
From a gentleman named Psylocke.
Oh, no.
Asking, how can he throw cards if both hands are twirling the bow?
That is a good question. He takes the staff and he uses it to pull the card out, and then flings it with the staff.
Okay, so he's just constantly doing
flinging the cards with the staff and pulling them out of his pockets like a magician.
Okay, I like that answer. Very nice. Very good question.
He's very good at sleight of hand, guys. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay. Oh, I mean, maybe a more legitimate question we have from Last Gambit is, will Gambit get his bow beatdown back?
Oh, so that's a good thing I want to talk about.
Sure.
So
great.
the characters that do have kind of new style primary resources, not all of them have what we would call single target spenders, and the reason for that is because they don't need them anymore. The resource is not a spirit style. I gain it and then I spend it, and I spend it for more damage. Like it's a completely different style. So with Gambit, and there was one other one that was talked about recently that I can't remember at the moment. We just stuck to their basics because we don't actually gain anything by giving them a single target spending power when they don't spend the resource to begin with. What I mean by that is when you're out of spirit, you can't use that power anymore. You have to use your basic.
I see.
But none of that applies to Gambit. He can always use his stuff. So it doesn't
That's
really make sense for him to have that. Now, what I do understand is there is a misconception about basics are just terrible. You should eject them from your build as soon as you can. You should itemize to where you don't have to use them. That is only true in the context of the how much total damage the character deals. Like if you use a basic and you still do as much damage as anybody else, you're not really losing anything. But there is a perception issue that basics are not something you should be using. So I think we can try to resolve that by showing that there is a bonus damage to this power because he has a different type of resource. Or maybe if you've recharged your kinetic energy within a certain amount of time, it gets a big bonus damage. But the general idea is you don't need single target spenders in a case where the resource doesn't need them. And that's the thing I want to do at home because it's not likely we'll be bringing that power back. Now, if the animation is what you want back, that's a different story. We can swap animations out. We could potentially just merge the two powers if we didn't already.
Okay.
Did we not do that already? Probably not. It doesn't look like we did. But that is totally something we can do. But mechanically speaking, if you don't need a single target spender, then we're probably not going to give you one.
Oh,
and
that's great.
hopefully it makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that question. Please continue to write those questions regarding Gambit or hero powers in the Twitch chat. We'll try to answer them, and we can keep showing off Gambit, I guess. Yeah.
All right. So we have a new thing for Gambit. I think I may have put it in the wrong spot. Fire up. This is the thing that combines his bow and his kinetics. He uses it to kinetically charge a piece of the ground up. I'm gonna cheat my way through this again. Kinetically charges a piece of ground, spins its staff, and then connects it for a big cone of damage.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's visually
very satisfying power to use.
Definitely.
And this helps his melee build with a new cooldown that was kind of missing.
All right. Maybe something I'm not sure. I don't think we have an official date yet, but like some kind of range. What is it? Bullet 22 asked. Did we say when the update was coming?
No. And we have a target date internally, which we're not going to say because we're not going to be beholden to it because we might change it if we're not happy with it. That's like we're not holding ourselves to, a specific date to tie in to anything that we're doing, any kind of schedule we're keeping. It's going to be released when we feel it's ready, and we've already moved that date internally many times based on internal play testing and you guys' feedback. Like, that's the truth. We're going to release it when we feel it's done.
All right.
And
awesome.
It's not going to be released again, if you haven't read the blogs, it won't all be released in one big batch.
Correct.
It will be released over, I believe, 2 or 3 patches. So the first one is going to be talents, mobility,
items.
And possibly some item changes.
Yes.
Not all the item
Correct,
changes,
yes.
but some. And that kind of wraps up the first 3, and then the rest will come in more big patches as we go. Yeah.
Unfortunately, the name kind of scrolled up there, but this gentleman asked if there's to be a possible update to Gambit's Ultimate. He's thinking there's not that much flair compared to the other Ultimates he's seen in game.
Possibly. I mean, we did a lot of Ultimates in this talent update. Gambit's was not one of them. I think it is very fair to say there were many other heroes who were much less dramatic than Gambit's. I mean, I'll run it one time.
Sure.
And I want you to think of what does Luke Cage's Ultimate look like in game right now compared to this massive, crazy firework display.
Yeah.
I will say it's not the best we've ever done, but it's far from the worst
Okay.
compared to some.
Gotcha.
That being said, anything is on the table. I could very much see making this duration much longer, so the cards rain down longer, making maybe doing a visual pass because those explosions didn't even look quite as nice as the other explosions in his kit.
Sure.
There's a lot of things we could do there. So yes, I could definitely see us doing that.
Gotcha. Great.
But not saying we will before we launch though. It could come after.
There you go. Gotta remember that. Maybe just show off 1 or 2 more things with Gambit.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, he has a new. We reworked the Ace of Spades. The old Ace of Spades is now called Trick Card, the one that sticks to a guy and then explodes. But we have a brand new charge. This is going to be a little divisive because I know not everybody likes the charge and hold, but this was something we had pretty big internal desires to have a charge power for Gambit thematically, because it was the thematic thing. He holds a card up and charges it and then throws it. So we have this power here where he brings up this card, charges it up, you can hold it, and flare it for a big AoE.
Nice.
And this has no cooldown by default. You can give it a cooldown if you like in the talent system. And I believe you can also give it 1 more charge, so you can actually charge it a 3rd time. 1, 2, 3, and it becomes this massive explosion.
Nice.
And
Very
it just
satisfying.
feels really thematic to Gambit to be able to do that.
Gotcha. Looks like Junk Rumble wants to see what kind of upgrades to Storm, better tornadoes. Can we see? Maybe we can switch to it?
Yeah, we can switch to it.
Yeah. And then, if you guys want to see another hero, I think maybe we can just do one hero suggested by the players.
Oh, yeah. I would like to.
Yeah. So let us know which hero you guys want to see and talk about, because obviously, MichaelMayhem here is in deep with the development, understands a lot of these mechanics, and definitely can provide to you very properly.
So the very first thing for Storm is, yes, Tornado's got a facelift. They used to be little dust devils, you could barely see them. They're now much more visible, and they all summon at once, and they track people and cause mayhem and havoc all over the place. It's probably the best visual update for her old powers. She has several new powers as well. She has Maelstrom. Oh, wow. You can shift Maelstrom using some talents.
Codename PyCon asks, what are the odds of making the wind powered a little bit more transparent?
More transparent.
Yeah.
See, this is the eternal struggle, guys. Is that if we make it too obscuring, people can't see what the action is below the tornadoes.
That's
and,
true.
They were more similar to what they are now in Test Center. The very first time we put the Storm rework up there,
Really?
and then people said that they couldn't see, and we had to bring them back down. We have better LOD options, which is level of detail options than we had before. So we're hoping, and that the systems we have in play will make it so that other players, if they want to turn off or lower other players' particles, that will be acceptable, and Storm can have the bigger, brighter tornadoes again.
Gotcha. Awesome. Thank you so much for the question.
In case you guys haven't seen it, we have a new big cooldown wind power called Hurricane Winds. It's a very nice, like, screen-clearing power.
Yeah.
And this replaces Thundering Maelstrom, and you can also replace it with another power. So that's 3 powers in one, with the 1,000 volt. Oh, it's been upgraded to billion volt strike. Why not?
Because 1,000 wasn't enough.
Which is a very, very large lightning strike. The largest lightning strike she has. Very thick bolt.
Awesome. I see a few questions in the chat asking about Biff, Sif, Riff, and also asking about the difficulty slider. We do have another live stream planned, guys, for end of the month, where we are going to go over that and especially go over the mobility update as well. So we'd like to answer those questions now, but we want to keep this live stream mainly for the hero updates, item changes, and the last thing that's escaped my mind.
That was one more example of how talents cannot transform a power or change mechanics, but they can just buff one power in one specific way.
Gotcha.
So in this case, this talent makes Storm's Ball Lightning come back to her when it's done, so it boomerangs back. And because that power doesn't hit once, it hits as long as the target is in the area. It actually can be quite potent.
Nice. Okay.
It probably needs a nerf from what it is on TC, I'll admit.
So maybe even boss heroes, big heroes that big bosses that take the space and just constantly ping back and ping back again.
It'll just keep hitting them over and over again. And for those that really do enjoy Thundering Maelstrom, we have a talent just for you, which just increases its damage. You get better move speed. You take less damage while you're channeling it with no penalty whatsoever. If you're the Storm player who just said, I really just want to hold that button and rise up into the air and do this crazy thing that this is known for. Wrong one. If you just want to do this all day and zap enemies, there's a talent for you. You can do that. We made it just for you.
Nice.
And that's kind of what as we were designing, we wanted to think about. We've had this game live for 3 years. We know the type of players that play our game.
Yeah.
And they are everywhere from the community people who are very strong about lore, and you have the min-maxer types.
Mm-hmm.
You also have the silent players who don't go on the community boards very often, but when you do, they range from also min-maxy to the very most casual. I just want to press this button and just feel like Storm and blow everything up.
Be awesome, yeah.
Just be awesome, yeah. And we want to make sure all those player archetypes have something for them. So niche builds, as well as things that look probably not great to a casual player, but are really powerful if you think about the min-max perspective or how it plays with items. Those talents are there. So we try to make something for everybody.
That's great. I've been seeing a lot of Venom, Juggernaut, Loki, Captain Marvel. Let's leave it in Rogue. Let's leave it at those. Who would you want to pick?
Oh man, it's a toss-up between Loki and Rogue for me. Only because Rogue had a completely new system on how to manage her stolen powers, and Loki has a ton of new mechanics and powers to look at. Visually speaking, he's like a brand new hero.
I'll be the deciding factor. How about Loki?
Let's do Loki. Yeah, I was just gonna say
Sorry,
it's a stream, so I want to say visuals. The guy that's more visually appealing wins in this one.
Yeah. Awesome. With this, guys, we'll probably do another. The stream's gone by pretty fast. We'll probably do another 5 to 10 minutes of showing off Loki.
We'll just do Loki.
Yeah, and then we'll jump into talking about the Infinity system. And then from there, we'll probably do a quick 10-minute Q&A with MichaelMayhem, answering questions about the hero update, Infinity system, or any other questions you just have about him in general. Maybe his favorite food, I don't know. And then we'll take a quick intermission, and we'll bring on Asros from Brian, essentially, as you all know him. And we'll talk more about the Infinity system and about item changes. And we actually have a fun thing to show as well before Michael leaves as well.
Oh, great, yeah. I forgot about that. I'm having too much fun talking about talents.
Yeah.
So Loki's big thing is this was a very popular request among Loki players, was to implement. He is actually a swordsmaster. This isn't represented maybe in the Avengers films, but it's very represented in his comics.
Really?
He's actually used multiple named swords. We actually called out the wrong one when we previewed this power. We called it Levitin, which is not the sword that we actually ended up modeling. We modeled Grum,
I see.
which I hope that's the right pronunciation. But
Interesting.
Grum is a new melee attack for Loki, and it kind of circles him around a melee-ish build. So he still uses ranged attacks and spells, but his kind of core power is sticks to the sword.
Gotcha.
He actually can throw the sword, and it kind of whirls around in there.
Okay, that's pretty awesome.
But the most important thing about this is that he now has a different tree one called God of Many Realms, which is, it used to be a Jotunheim tree,
Okay.
Representing his like frost giant heritage.
That's right.
And we expanded that out to Jotunheim, Muspelheim, Asgard, and Hell. So there's 4 realms of magic that he can pull from to use magic. So for example, if he pulls magic from Hell, he uses Spirits of the Dead, which fires these crazy purple soul magic projectiles at random enemies.
Nice.
And it enchants his sword with this amazing purple glow. So his sword is now all enchanted with Hell magic.
Okay, nice.
And each different enchantment gives it a different buff effect. So Graham becomes enchanted with Hell magic and restores health on hit. So while it's enchanted with Hell magic, and there's many different, there's a couple different things it can enchant, he gets health on hit. So Hell is more of like a regenerative source of magic. And there are several different ones to choose from. If you use Asgardian Light, it's now enchanted with Light magic, which is focused on attack speed. So it's actually attacking it much faster now. And it's all spuggy.
You definitely tell the difference.
So much spuggy. And his talents let him manipulate the source of magic in tons of different ways. So if we take Frost Nova, that Asgardian Light power that we just used, that is on the bar down there at F, transforms into Frost Nova, which is a similar power, big PB AoE,
Yes.
but now it enchants with ice. And
Added benefits.
it has different benefits, it chants differently. So I suspect a lot of Loki players will find themselves saying like, oh, I'm a light shadow Loki, I'm a fire light Loki, or I'm a light summoner. There's a whole bunch of different combinations he can do for Loki. And he still has all of his summons, he still has all of his like CC-oriented magic. That was what his Tree 2 is based around, was like immobilizing, making enemies vulnerable and weakened, and then exploiting those. He still has all that in his Tree 2, and all the summons, and you can even expand the powers to be more based on summons, more based on debuffs. A lot of different ways you can build them.
Gotcha. I see a lot of feedback.
He has a new ultimate.
Ooh, well, actually, let's see
The
that
Norn
first.
Stones.
Nice.
So that the radius on that is actually a little bit bigger than the visuals may incline, but it pretty much obliterates everything on the screen with the power of the light from the Norn Stones.
Nice. All right. Yeah, a lot of people seemed very excited about the changes you guys made. There were kind of a few, I guess, players were asking about the idle stance, maybe wondering if it could be possible different idle stances. do you think?
We could bring that up with our art director, see if we can get a different idol there.
Perfect. Great.
I mean, that's fine feedback, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, guys. Once again, any kind of feedback you have that you're seeing here today, or you playing on Test Center, we do have the Test Center feedback forums, the section, to grab all that information from each individual heroes to every kind of new system that we're changing.
I'm sorry, I was laughing at Taste the Rainbows of Asgard Peasants.
Yeah.
That's great.
What an amusing fool.
So we do have the forums, and I just want to say that in case anyone has doubts, every designer in the building all day on my second monitor has the forums, and I'm constantly reading them. I'm watching streams of people playing on Test Center. This is our life right now. Your feedback matters. It matters a lot. It's only been like 2 days since we brought everything up to Test Center, so no iteration has been done yet, but it will be. There will be changes based on your feedback.
And I'll confirm, every time I'm walking by there, one screen, you're working on the models, the other screen, the forums, or like a live stream, so it's definitely true. With that, maybe we just talk a little bit about the Infinity system. I know that's...
Right. Wow. We could actually go back to the game
Yeah,
if we want to do that.
let's do that.
Shall
Just
begin your
quickly bring up the Infinity system. So, wow, this time goes by way too
Yeah,
fast
I
when we're
know.
talking about
It's-
this
it's
stuff.
been like
There's
50 minutes.
There's so much.
So yeah, like pretend I'm just completely new to this entire
Sure.
system, and just, if you could explain it to me.
So the Omega system, as you may have known it, was, what did we get up to, 9 or 10 pages of nodes,
Yeah.
and they were prerequisites, there were chains, there were different starting locations. The nodes cost different amounts. They cost anywhere from like 1 point to 1,000, 5,000 points. Points were all over the place. There was no thematic thing to tie in what what nodes were in each pages. It was really hard to parse. Even for developers, it was hard to parse. Like, you'd have people that would come to us and be like, "Do you have any recommended builds? I'm having trouble parsing this." And this has been a problem pretty much since we launched it.
Yeah.
But we wanted to take the opportunity to really change it and simplify it. We attempted this once before, back in, I think in January. We did some things where we thought maybe we can edit the Omega system as it lies now and make some of these changes to the current system and see if that works. And it didn't. It did not go over as well as we wanted it to. You guys weren't happy. We weren't happy with the results. So we said, you know what? It's time to change it. It's time to just go back to the roots, figure out what we like about the system, what players want out of it, and make it do what we want it to do. And so we came up with the Infinity system, which takes the concept of Omega but boils it down to just a few decisions. Instead of being having 180 some decisions to make, you have 5. So there's 6 pages.
And for me, kind of like being that new player returning player come jumping back in and seeing the Omega system and putting points into a system, but like seeing all these other options, I've always felt like maybe I wasn't sure if I was putting points to the right system because there's so many other options and so many other ways to divert that. Yeah,
you never knew if you were making the right call.
Yeah,
especially, I mean, unless you went and took to the advice of other players, it was really hard to tell if you were making any progress on your character. So there are 6 pages, one for each of the Infinity Gems, and these have 5 different things that you can put your points into. These points are divided up, so you will be getting mind points and power points, space points, reality points, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And you spend these on some pretty basic but very powerful effects. So before you might have seen, plus 5 health in Omega. Now you're getting plus 0.5% base health. And the reason that's percent is because you can still use the Infinity system at level 1. The Omega system was locked at level 30. You could do a workaround to actually make it work at level 1. It's now available at level 1 all the time. I don't think this is implemented in Test Center, but the design is, as long as you have one level 60, as long as you've reached level 60 with one character, that's all you need to do to unlock the system, and then it's open forever. You can spend it all at level 1 on a brand new character. These provide some base stat bonuses to things like your attributes, to specific types of damage, to critical chance. There's some really unique ones in here that are not offered anywhere else, such as dash cooldowns, or I believe ultimate damage or ultimate cooldowns is on here in one of these. Signature damage is another great one, very popular one I've noticed on Test Center. But these are infinite. You never stop accruing these points.
Gotcha.
It is a much like Omega, it is a diminishing return, so it'll take slightly longer every time you get a point, just a little bit longer than the last one.
Gotcha.
And this is to prevent, the guy who's been playing for 3 years to be, heads and shoulders above a new player. That at least there is some, but at the same time, we don't want you to cap it. We don't want you to feel like at some point you are no longer progressing in the kind of the watching the bar go up and doing enough stuff to level up. The Infinity system kind of provides an infinite level up system.
So I believe it was Cyron X, Samron X. I believe I see him on the forums every so often. He asks, why do you have to split up the points?
Sure, I'll be happy to answer that. So the one of the things we did with Omega was we wanted to, with Infinity, as opposed to Omega, as we wanted to reduce the number of choices. Right, it's a lot harder to make one choice out of 180 choices than it is 1 in 5. And you get to make multiple of those. So if we did it the other way, if we say you have 1,000 Infinity points and put them wherever you want, you almost have the same problem. You still have. I'm going to look through each and every one of these pages. And now I have 30. I have one choice to make out of 30 options instead of 1 in 5 options, and that's very similar to the issues we had with Omega. In fact, if you were to count all the starting nodes, it's probably about that much. So you have the same issues. Furthermore, we didn't find it that interesting when you had just one, when you had all the points to work with. Because what you do is you go down to one node. You'd find the node that is best for you, and you'd put your points into it until it was all over.
Gotcha.
And because Infinity is a very long-term progression system, it meant that you could spend a lot of time never really reaching outside of it, or doing anything else with your character other than to say, I'm going to take 1.1% brutal chance, and I'm going to take that for the next, 40, 50 hours of my gameplay. And what this does is this says you need to branch out. You can't always put it in one thing, because you need to balance your character out. You can't just go straight up one pole and then go straight up another pole, because at that point we might as well have just made a single code that said when your infinity levels up, you get 1% damage.
Yeah.
Something like that. That would have been almost the same system if we let you put it wherever you want. With this method, you have to be balanced. You have to break out. You may put a point in something that is not the correct min-max decision if you could have everything, but it's not a very far off, second best. And by doing that, we're making it so again that the end game player is not so miles beyond someone who is coming to the system fresh for the first time.
Yeah. It's definitely. Yeah, a lot of people in the chat have been saying it's been.
I've done that more times than you know.
Yeah, a lot of players in chat actually have been saying it's been very refreshing for them to see this kind of system, and I feel relatively the same as I dig deeper into the Omega system. I could see the nuance and I can see why people really like it, but once again, I had to really dig down and deep into it. It took me more time than I normally would for like a system like that. So, like you guys feel, I believe it's for the better, and I believe more people appreciate it.
There is one thing I'll note on Omega that was a success, and that we will try to bring back, which is it brought a lot of obscure Marvel flavor into the game, of things that you don't see in Marvel games that often. And where applicable, we'll try to bring those back and use those like icons and those texts and just the references that we put in Omega, and try to bring them back in other ways, maybe through items that we introduce later in the game's life. Very popular one was it wasn't Jubilee. It was there was like a special clock effect. I can't think of something. They're gonna hang me for this because I can't think of what it is. But that was very popular, and we'll probably bring that back in an item.
All right, that's great. With that, this live stream's gone pretty long. I think that was a good first step to what the Infinity System is. And a lot of the questions that are being asked in the Twitch chat,
Dazzler. Thank you.
Dazzler.
Thank you, chat.
Dazzler. Oh,
Dazzler,
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, a lot of questions people are asking in the chat about the Infinity System are actually being answered by our development team, which is great. And the great thing about Twitch nowadays, if you go back to a Twitch archive, the chat's fully there, so people can read from those questions
right.
well. Yeah, from all our awesome devs. So with that, maybe we can either show off another hero or do a quick 10-minute Q&A.
I think we've gone long enough. I'm sure Asros is anxiously waiting to join.
That's
So
probably true. But
let's go
before
back to...
Yeah, so let's switch to there. And we actually have something new to show off. So
right, we do.
So what is it? I feel like this past 2 weeks have been like 3 months, but I've only been here for a month.
Yeah.
I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago we spoke to the wonderful Dark Beast, very proactive on the forums, and playing this game for a while now, as I'm told.
Very long time.
Yeah.
He's been around as long as I have.
Oh, really?
Sure.
Yeah, awesome. So he's been a very prolific voice in wanting a certain character in the game, and we announced that, or he announced that.
Yep,
let's say this week or last week.
That was great, by the way.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
very happy to see that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know until he posted it. I went,
Yeah.
oh, good job.
Yeah. So, we were so thankful for his, for his passion for the game, and just for him being so proactive and being like a friendly face on the forums and everywhere else. So we showed off the astonishing costume beast, which I think is the standard one with a visual update.
It'll be his default, yep. And not the one that the NPC in game has. Yeah, it's a brand new model.
Brand new model, which is great.
It's amazing fur, by the way. Great.
That's
fur.
what I've heard. Yes.
The pictures don't do it justice. You gotta see it in game.
Yeah. So you can see that it's on our forums. I think we also post it on social media, but you should check it out on the forums and you'll see his announcement post. We actually have another custom show off as well.
We do.
Yes, and it's his Uncanny Beast Force. Yes.
I think you're gonna have to do this.
Oh, I will do.
I don't have the shortcuts.
Oh, sorry. So here it is. You guys can see it on the screen. I kind of go back on what you stated before. I think the fur in this looks really good, actually. Yeah.
It looks good, but
Yeah.
wait till you see it in game.
Oh, really?
That's like,
Okay, I haven't seen that yet.
It's I'm pretty sure it's using new tech because it seems very similar to the sort of tech that some of our like cape users have lately. Like a cloth. Angelo is the one who really used it as well. They have just some really new, awesome physics stuff going on, and I'm pretty sure that's what he's using. So you wouldn't be able to tell quite in a still image, but it's going to be great.
That's awesome. And with that, we have this new costume store. We haven't really released announced date yet for Beast, but it is coming, and I think it's safe to say after at least the first big update that goes through, then we can start. Then the idea of Beast being playable, and once again us building a sub forum for him is very much possible.
Yeah, and we'll be going through that, I imagine, here within the next 3 weeks, some point. Probably 3 weeks or so.
Yeah.
Ish, somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there, just in terms of talking about them.
Yeah,
Not releasing them.
Yeah. But with that, I want to thank you so much for. So this live stream isn't over, but I want to thank you so much, MichaelMayhem, for jumping on the live stream, for talking to our wonderful players.
Anytime.
About the hero update, about Infinity System. I guarantee we'll have you on another live stream, probably the next one that we're coming up soon, along with the Art of War.
I'll be happy to join.
Yeah, to talk about the mobility update and also Biff. And the difficulty slider. But with that, we're going to take a really quick intermission. We're going to bring on another developer onto here. We're going to talk about items. We're going to go maybe a little bit more into Infinity System. Who knows? And we still have more stuff to show off, more new announcements. So we'll be right back.
Do not leave. We will be the new announcement. It's going to be great. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for your patience. We're back with, as you all know, well, let me fix that.
I'm not Michael May.
That is correct.
I would love to be Michael May, but I'm not.
Here we are. So we're back with Asros. For me, I've been working with you, I think, really closely for the past month or so that I've been here. And I want to say personally, I want to thank you so much for all your help and your assistance with me transitioning into this role here at Marvel Heroes and Gazillion.
You are too kind.
Yes. But with that, we're going to be talking more. I think we talked a little bit about the Infinity System. I think Michael actually did a really good job explaining it, but if you have any input with that, we can. But we're here definitely more to talk about the item changes coming with the first update and then possibly with the next update coming after that. And once again, we have, I want to say, 2 really big announcements. I think that's safe to say.
At least.
At least. I guess there's more.
I say at least because I am forgetful.
Oh, yes.
So.
But with that, it's going to be a little, we need to switch to, we're actually switched to the test center.
My test center account.
Yeah, yes. So We're going to do that right now, so it'll be a little...
Hey, look at that.
Never mind. I'm actually a genius.
You are. You are.
All right, so...
You should totally take credit for that.
Yes. All me, guys. With that, we're, let's talk about the items changes first.
Sure.
And I'll let Asros drive this forward. So with that...
Yes. So as you would probably assume, and you would be correct, with the vast array and amount of changes that are being done to the core side of the game, especially with heroes and attributes and traits and PowerPoints and movement and all sorts of stuff, all of the things with items that touch all that stuff have to be looked at as well. And there are thousands, like literally thousands of items that we had to review. And we've been looking at this stuff for probably at least 6 months, I would say, in some form or another. So as you've seen on Test Center, like the first batch of changes is up there. Like the first thing you're going to notice is PowerPoints are gone on heroes, so that means PowerPoint bonuses on anything, on uniques, on artifacts, on rune words, on the entire Cosmic Cybernetics tier. All of those things had PowerPoint bonuses. And so we needed to find like medallion bonuses, all this sort of stuff. We had to find some sort of equal-ish, as much as possible, thing to replace it with, right?
Yeah.
So on uniques, that was pretty. It was the decision on that was pretty simple because we have definitely over 500 different uniques. All of them had PowerPoint bonuses. It took me, I think, about 2 days to go through and pull all of those off. And so when we were looking at what to do to replace them, because for those of you that don't know, all of our items are based off of a certain numerical budget. So we have a budget range for, say, a unique or an artifact or whatever, and then each, what we call affix, what you might think is like a stat or something, each entry on that item has a certain numerical value. So we wanted to make sure that we weren't making certain ones completely overpowered. We aren't making certain ones completely underpowered.
Yeah.
So we did a full review, and we, very early on in the talent development, we went through and we updated, as you may see, not on that one. Not on this one. Yes, on this one.
This one, okay.
You'll see that the PowerPoint bonuses are gone, but you'll see that there are other attributes that are being put in. And a lot of people on Test Center are saying, like, why does War Machine have 2 energy on his unique, when if you look at his trait, it says durability or fighting? And a lot of that is because we were able to do these item changes a lot earlier than traits were final. So as the heroes are being iterated on and as they're going through Test Center, we're taking note of each one of those and we're going to be updating those. So we have added a 4th person to the item team who is now assisting us with all of that. So the team is growing. Yay!
Did the person unofficially announce himself yesterday on the forums?
He did.
Yeah.
Winter
Thur.
Winter Thur. Yeah.
I'll quickly interject. So I see a few questions in the chat regarding about, Michael didn't answer my question, or we weren't able to get to this.
I'm old and blind, and I can't reach it.
We do apologize about that, guys, but our devs are always on the forums, just like he kind of had that wonderful speech before. Our devs are always on the forums listening, and they will answer your questions. So if you have a question that you feel that needs to be answered, head to our message boards, tag me in there. Just tag me in there. I don't want you to tag anyone else because everything's going crazy, but just tag me and I'll direct it to them.
We may not be, just it's the sheer law of numbers.
Yeah.
We may not be able to answer every question, but for me personally, I don't know, I'm weird. And every time I get tagged on the forum, if possible, I will go and I will read that I will at least read that post, if not respond to it. Same with PMs that I get.
Yeah.
I will at
Always
least read
PMs.
it. Sometimes I don't have time, or I actually can't respond to it because it might be answering something that we're not ready to talk about. But I always do at least read them. So yeah, definitely post your feedback on there. We may not be able to respond as much as some may like because we have lots of work to do right now.
And sometimes sleep is a necessity.
Yeah, but yeah, the fact that we have
Another day,
David here and
another snafu.
and his team is very good, and our communication is only going to improve going forward, which is really good. So yeah.
Yeah.
So what are the changes? One thing we didn't really talk about is other work that we did to artifacts, and artifacts have always been.
Oh my gosh, that's so much.
Yeah, yeah, I have a lot of stuff. So you guys get a glimpse into my hoarding mind. So we've released a lot of artifacts over the many moons.
If we can, just if you can move that little notch down. Sorry, players are saying
What
it's a
little
little
notch down?
Or if I can grab the mouse.
Sorry.
Sorry, breaking in the fourth wall, guys. There we go. That should. Okay, perft. Continue. If the
Okay.
in-game volume was a little louder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
So let me see if I can. Nope. Can we move the video over too? Because it's.
Oh yeah. So.
Hope you have your affairs in order.
Good. So we have many artifacts, as you can see, that I have hoarded, and I name my tabs very smartly. Good.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of these, and we have a lot of artifacts that over the years have kind of lost their shine, we can say. And there are some that, due to power changes and hero changes, even attribute changes or other stat changes, just kind of became like they drop and you look at it and you're like, yeah, this is pretty worthless. So one thing we wanted to do is we wanted to take what we call leveling artifacts that drop basically between, at that point, 1 to probably 55 or so, and make them better, make them different, different but better. Find a specific build for them that for heroes to itemize for as they're leveling, so that you know that yes, this item might have just been like damage rating and maybe a couple other things that were really ambiguous, but it wasn't that great. Now the plan is to make those a lot more focused and better for specific builds, so there's more itemization choice. So definitely go get on Test Center.
Oh, yes.
Take a look at. I mean, when I say every artifact, I mean it. Like, I'm trying to think of ones that we didn't, and I'm coming up blank. I mean, there's maybe a couple that we didn't touch for whatever reason, but almost every single artifact got an update. Some stronger than others, but we tried to find better roles for them for what they do. So big thing that we also did, especially with endgame artifacts, like you see here with Essence of Dread, is since attributes are playing such a large part in the hero changes because of the primary attribute system, we can be a lot more free to put more attributes on items, because we know that while, like, before, if we put like 5 fighting on an item, or if you take like Iron Legion Armor Sheath that had up to 7 int, like, that was broken. That gave so much power that it was literally broken.
Yeah.
So now, because primary attributes help heroes in a certain way, we can give higher amounts of those, so that the secondary side effects of them, like fighting used to give, or maybe even still giving, here it goes, damage to basic powers, critical rating multiplier. But in the old world, where it used to give other stats that were basically good for everybody, now we can more judiciously hand out these attributes and know that for the specific heroes that use those, that it's going to make them a lot better. So that's definitely one of the core changes that we did. Artifacts are a huge change. You can see here my fairly horribly rolled Ultron pet. We had to change the entire cosmic tier of cybernetics because all it did was give +2 different types of power points. So what we did with this at first was we went and we looked at old Omega powers from the Omega system that weren't being used anymore, and we saw some that we liked. We saw some that we saw a lot that we liked, and originally we were gonna take a bunch of those ones that players really liked and we put them on cybernetics so that they could still use those things. What we ran into is tooltip formatting. Like the way that I was almost going to point to the screen so that people could see. Point.
Yeah, just that kind of works.
Here. Yeah. But if you look at on the tooltip here, you'll see the cosmic, like all of the tooltips are very short, very clear one-liners, except for cosmic, because it's a more complex power. We didn't want those to suddenly become like a paragraph where some of the powers from Omega that you guys have seen and used before know that they're fairly intricate. So we still have all those powers in our back pocket, and we can use those on other items. And we're targeting to use some of them for Omega items in ways that I will talk about soon. And by soon, I mean shortly here on this stream, not soon TM.
NK rates and interesting name asked, how are we going to upgrade the unique affix on pets now that the uniques will be gone?
Great question.
Yes.
That will be changed to Omega items.
Oh.
And it will be, and this is also a very important thing to notice, or to note, I should say. Another objective that we have for this update was we recognize that over the course of time, we have just put more and more loot out there. And so it gets to the point where it's like a complete overwhelming sense of craziness. When maybe it's an event, maybe it's your first time going into Cosmic Midtown, maybe it's something, but there's just so much stuff that drops, and a lot of it is stuff that a lot of players are just not really interested at, especially in different points of the game. We had, cybernetics was put in as kind of a reason for really, I guess, green, uncommon, rare, epic, cosmic, and even excess uniques that you may have to serve a purpose at endgame, but it's kind of like, it's not that exciting of a system. And so we're talking about ideas on ways to make it a little bit more engaging and fun, but to get back to what I was really talking about, instead of rambling on, you'll notice in the Chapter 1 update that launched several months ago, if you're playing through that, you'll notice that it's just like the amount of items that drop playing through there are very specific, they're very clean. The bosses drop things that are direct upgrades for you at that time, and we're very tactical about what drops where, especially in leveling progression for new players, so that they're not being overwhelmed with like we have a rarity progression in our game where you can go from uncommon, rare, epic, cosmic, unique. If you're getting cosmic items at level 10, like, what is the point of the rarity progression at that point? Yeah. Like, games should have a curve where as you get more powerful as a hero, your gear should also be getting more powerful at the same time. So there are benefits to getting some of that more powerful gear earlier too. Like, yeah, it felt good to get uniques early, especially if you were boosting Riff or something like that, because it made you feel more powerful, and we definitely understand that. So we're doing, with this update, Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 will also be getting a massive rework. Chapter 2 kind of more so than Chapter 3, I think.
I believe, yeah.
And again, those are all testable in Test Center. They're right awesome.
Now.
Yeah, it's great. They've done a hell of a job. You'll see kind of the same similar idea of dropping less items that are better, if that makes sense. Making items that drop much more attractive to players, so that if you see a bunch of stuff drop and you're just like, 90% of that is pet food. You know, it's like then what's the point of us dropping it, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that we will eventually be rolling out across the game in different ways. We're still in the process, especially for endgame modes, of trying to identify like what should each endgame mode drop. Like, what is the purpose? If you go to a holosim, if you're going there to farm, what's the difference between going there to farm and then, say, like, rather than going to Danger Room or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of internal design discussions on this that we really feel like making the loot game much more directed and more focused, and that should be a pretty good benefit for players.
Great. That was a great question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you ask me questions. I just talk.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I got 2 quick questions. One question that
I won't give you quick answers.
This one I think should be quick. A lot of players in the chat, once you entered on the screen, or once we kind of went to full screen mode, they asked, like, did I like shrink or did I?
No, I'm just a giant.
Yeah. So I'm like 6'1", and yourself?
I'm 6'7", and I'm built like a linebacker.
So there we go. So that's
not a linebacker. They're in way better shape than I am. I should say probably a lineman, and not a very good one either. Yeah.
Oh no, I think you do good.
Yeah.
And the second question, we're doing this live stream to help new players jumping in and kind of understanding these new mechanics. So if you could, like, maybe in a sentence or two, explain the item changes to these players, if possible. The base, like the top level idea of what
for just the Heroes and Talents release.
That too, and then also the item changes as well, like why we're shifting these changes of the way these items are.
Yes, I mean the main item changes you'll be seeing for the first release is just going to be to make the current itemization system work with all of the changes we made to Heroes and Talents and Powers and all that sort of stuff, and make sure that we don't have any like old data and old items that are like, well, why does this one still have PowerPoints on it? That's dumb. And
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we want to make sure that all the itemization is updated to work in that system, and then we're also putting in kind of the beginning groundwork for the future of itemization too, talking about kind of, for lack of a better term, loot discipline. So how can we better control what loot drops where, and giving purpose for going to specific places, and then laying the ground for Omega items.
Okay. It's a very fair and...
Did I answer? Is that right?
But it still has that, very deep intellectual answer that you always give with the answers and with the information you always have, which I appreciate.
I hope it's not too wordy.
No. I do like the responses of a lot of people are saying that, comparing you to Kingpin. Would you say that's fair?
Ouch.
Oh, no, like, I mean, like, with this, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. My head's, like, I wear my hair super short, and since it's, like, not really red, it's, like, kind of reddish blonde, it can look like it, like, you guys can't see because the camera's too small, but, like, I have blonde eyebrows, so it looks like I never have eyebrows. It's weird.
All right, so I've seen this question multiple times by DJ Genius V1 or 6, I guess. Since there's a lot of flavor gone from the Omega Infinity system, Iron Man's mask, Mark 5 summons along with other visual effects, will these show up in other places like artifacts?
They can, yes. I will not commit that they 100% will, but they can, yes. And that's something that when we first started talking about the transition from the Omega system to the Infinity system, that's one thing, because one of the first things was, well, there's a lot of powers that players really like, that they're either really visually attractive or they feel really good when they go off and stuff like that. So, yeah, and it bears the added bonus of it making our lives easier for itemization too, because it's stuff that's already built. So.
All right, great. Thank you so much, DJ Genius 6, for that question. I think maybe you can do just a Q&A, 10-15 minutes from this point on, unless there's something else you really want to show off.
I don't have anything to show off. What I would like to talk about is design updates to the Omega system.
Sure.
That have been talked about since we released the Infinity or Omega items blog.
Okay.
we got a lot of feedback on that, which is awesome.
Great.
And it fostered a lot of good discussion internally on talking about some key pain points. One of them was we have 59 heroes. The plan for us at first was to try to make sure that, not to try, but to actually get 7 Omega items per hero out for launch. You can do the math on that. That's a lot. And that was back when the original design for that was that each Omega item it would have 5 randomly rolled affixes that are tailored to that hero. So you would only be really getting attributes like fighting or strength or whatever that are tailored to your primary attributes as a hero. And some other affixes from a shared affix pool. And then there would be an Omega power, which for those who may not be familiar with it is, think of it as like a proc that are on current uniques. Let me find a good one. Like this one here. I almost did it again. I was like, this one right here. The one at the bottom here on the big guns. It says you take 3% less damage from any area powers when you use Army of One, blah, blah, blah. These are powers that are handcrafted and put on these uniques, and they interact with the hero specifically in a certain way. And we like that about uniques, but we didn't like the fact that building uniques was taking up an inordinate amount of time on the design team. And because they're handcrafted, whereas Green through Cosmic Gear is built in a way where it's automatically generated, we couldn't easily upgrade them in ways that they needed to be. So an Omega power is something kind of like this bottom affix, but way better. So because of the talent system, we have some more tools available to us to make changes to powers through items. And we have some really cool designs for them, and we continue to iterate on them. One of the great things about the talent stuff being out now is players can see what the powers are, what since we took out some powers and we changed some, made some new ones. Feel free to make suggestions for Omega powers.
Where can they do that, though, Brian?
They can do that on the forums.
Or the official Marvel Heroes 2016 forums.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we're doing things like maybe an item or a power that now has, 2 charges. An Omega item may now grant it an extra one.
Mm-hmm.
Or do something like, the tornadoes that Human Torch spawns, we can alter those in some form. Like we can add additional tornadoes, we can give those tornadoes an additional effect or something like that. Like it allows us to really make items that are that kind of impact your build.
Yeah.
And you can itemize around these. So so with that being said, we have kind of shifted our view from making them 7 static items with 7 static powers. They will function in a similar way as how the uncommon through cosmic items work, where you have a kind of a basic slot item for each one, like Missile Pod is War Machine's slot 5.
Yeah.
So we're not going to be reusing the uniques names and icons for it yet. We may in the future, but the affixes, the Omega powers will be coming from a shared pool. So not every missile pod is going to have the same Omega items. It will pull from any of the available Omega powers from that hero's pool, which is good. Unfortunately, the Omega powers won't stack. So if you get, if you really like one Omega power, let's say it says gives you 1 additional stack of whatever, you can't find 5 of those Omega items to give you 5 additional stacks, because that's crazy talk. But yes, so this makes it a lot easier for us to, if we want to add new Omega powers, all we have to do is create the power and we put it in the affix pool, and in the next update it'll just start rolling on those items. We don't have to make brand new items. We don't have to do that. It makes us be a lot more agile in the development process. Also, that being said, because of just design limitations and that pesky beast called time, we're going to make a set of kind of, I don't want to say basic, but shared Omega powers. Things that may have been affixes that you would see on any hero uniques that really, like, maybe they say you know reduces your save cooldown by so much, or you know, makes you invisible when you defeat an enemy, something like that, but not that bad of an example. But that can roll on any of the items that could make that could alter your build in other ways. So while we do ramp the hero powers over time, you'll still have a good variety of powers to choose from, not just the set of 5 to 7, because that's with talents and the crazy amounts of builds that can come out of talents. We want to make sure that we don't want to pigeonhole people into using. I mean, you have 5 item slots, right? So with 7 powers, you're basically going to be. You have to cover the entire gamut of builds with those, and that's very restricting. So, yeah, so that's kind of where we are on Omega items right now. A lot of that came from direct feedback from players. So I want to thank you guys for that, and it really helps us kind of
for sure.
churn the wheels. That's a
like
total
that.
mixed metaphor that makes no sense, but churn the wheels.
It works. It's been a long day.
Yeah.
One question, I'm not sure if you can answer it, but if not, then this what is this gentleman's name? Simon_Claire can easily ask on the forums as well to our devs. But he asks, how do you put walls, shields, confuse, fear, etc. on 1/8 power bar without sacrificing damage layers? That's probably more of a.
Yeah, that's a good question for Mike.
Yeah,
I can try to answer it.
Yeah, I feel bad that I wasn't able to grab that question.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
That's a design question on a lot of this stuff. Like, how do we make utility powers feel good enough where you're saying, I'm willing to sacrifice 1/8 of my potential power to take this utility ability? And that's a really good question, and that's up to us to make sure that they feel that way as much as we can. So on those that may not feel like good alternatives, test them on a test center. I hate to sound like a broken record, but test it on a test center, leave feedback. We're reading it all. And again, like, one thing that I always try to state whenever talking about this stuff is this is a fluid game. Like, we may not get everything 100% perfect, right, when we ship it, but we continue to iterate on this game. We update it and we continue to go. So if there are things that you feel very passionately about, continue to give us feedback, and we're always reviewing it, and we're always considering it, and we're always taking it into account whenever we look at what do we want to change.
Of course. Thank you, Brian. With that, though, I think with that, though, it's a lot of these questions I'm seeing are more towards like design hero mechanics, the mobility mechanics, things like that, which, I mentioned it before, in the in the end of the month live stream for part 2 of the developers' blogs, we're going to be talking a lot more about mobility. We're going to have the Art of Roar on here. We'll have MichaelMayhem back on the live stream to talk about that stuff. So we appreciate the questions, and once again, you can always ask us on social media, Marvel Heroes 2016 at on Twitter.
Marvel Heroes,
on Facebook, especially on our forums as well. Even Reddit, we look everywhere pretty much. So everywhere is pretty much an open space to ask your questions, and we'll definitely try to get those answered. But with that, we have fun surprises to show off.
We do have fun surprises.
I'll be the one to kind of click away at them, but I'll let you kind of announce them, Asros, because you've kind of been here,
We're announcing Beast's second costume. Just kidding.
So yeah, we announced this earlier, and once again, a big thanks to Dark Beast for helping us out with this.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so with Dark Beast, you feel like there should be something coming along with Dark Beast? Would you say?
So we've talked a lot about the Advanced Pack 3, the last 2 unannounced team-ups, and we really wanted them to be kind of a 1-2 punch thematically.
Yeah.
So that when we release a hero, we're like, here's a really great team-up that fits thematically with that hero. And we have 2 that I am pleased as punch to be able to do, and with Beast, you know, and a lot of the '90s X-Men fans have always been asking for a certain young lady to be a team up, and we can definitely announce that Jubilee is going to be the team up that will be launching next alongside Beast, and she looks great.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
Yeah,
exactly like how I remember her in the '90s when I watched the cartoons. Yeah,
she's great, and they're working on her powers right now, and I have no doubt that she's just going to be incredibly fun and just a really great addition to the roster. So another great X-Men at X folk added to our roster. We almost have more team ups than we have heroes right now. We may actually, I haven't counted, but we have a lot. And I love them. They're great.
Yeah. So yeah, we have more announcements too.
Yeah, we don't have pretty pictures to go with them.
That's
Yet.
Not yet.
But yeah, a lot of people have been asking, okay, that's great that you announced Beast is next, so who's next after that? And so we were able to also say that the next one after, like, we don't have dates yet because we're still working on a lot of this stuff. And
things are pretty crazy.
You guys know how we work. But yeah, the next hero after Beast is going to be Black Bolt himself.
Woo!
And if you guys keep an eye out on Marvel.com tomorrow, the first look at his model of one of his costumes that Dink has done an amazing job on. Well, she's done an amazing job on all of her costumes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you'll be able to take a look at that. There'll be an article having to do with Black Bolt, I believe, tomorrow. So keep an eye on that, and then once that's up, we'll also post it in the forums and probably social and whatever too. But not just that. I mean, if you're gonna have Black Bolt, right?
Yeah. Who comes with Black Bolt then?
You might as well have Medusa.
Oh, Medusa.
Yep.
Medusa confirmed. All right. That's
so,
great.
Medusa is going to be. She will launch also aside with Black Bolt. I've seen her work in progress model, and it's awesome. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah,
Her hair looks
great.
fantastic. So yeah, hopefully soon we'll be able to show you guys kind of the first look at that. We normally don't like showing model sheets because a lot of the times, like, seeing a hero standing like this is not really the best way. Yeah, well, you know what I mean. It's not really the best way to really show it off. But yeah, all of these guys, Jubilee and Black Bolt and Medusa, all look really, 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 really great. So
100% agree.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. With the big update coming, and also, we announced Beast for soon after, and then now we have Black Bolt with Beast with Jubilee, Black Bolt with Medusa. There's a whole lot of content coming.
Yeah.
But obviously the big first thing is the I think we're just calling it the fall update now, the biggest update, systems change.
And that's I saw a lot of questions about this in chat too.
Sure.
when I was watching before. We're not. I guess we're a little bit over.
We're over, yeah.
We're, like Mike said, that we're going to be releasing all this stuff in pieces, which is true. So like the next update, the one that's on test center right now, has hero power changes and talents. It has the Infinity system. It has the item updates that you see here, and it doesn't have Omega items in it. Did I say the Infinity system? I think I did.
Yeah.
And then Chapter 2 and 3 update, and real quick, I promise.
You asked for
Yeah.
this.
Oh, yeah. You guys can't see that. Look at this. You don't have to keep med kits in your inventory anymore because they're not going to be a thing. It's a power.
Oh, it's super nice.
Yeah. And so it's just down here, and you can keybind it to whatever you want, and that's awesome, and I love it. Obviously, I mean, I know it seems like a little thing, but it's
a little things that matter.
It's a great thing. I forgot he had proc toggle on. Also, let me show. Does anybody notice anything right now? I've shown this. You notice anything?
Don't tell me yet.
There's no green circles.
I said don't tell me. You just told them.
I just told them. Yeah, we have a cool new. Again, these are just little tiny quality of life things that we're adding in. That we put the. Let me play intern film. But yeah, you have options in here now to either show those green circles or not if you don't want them, and that's really
actually,
great.
Yeah, it's really nice.
And so we're not just leaving them there, we're taking them away, we're giving you the chance to do that because that's a crazy requested thing. Another thing that is good is travel power toggle. So if you, let's say on the new travel powers, you don't want to just hold it down, you just want to use it, and now he T-poses, and this is a terrible one to use as an example, but like, my other hand's, like I don't have to hold that button down, and then you just hit it again and it takes off, so, or any lands. So yeah, it's like a lot of stuff like this, and over here, this is how excited
I'm learning so many new things. Yeah.
So this is our brand new Mission Tracker 2.0. And so it's a lot cleaner. You have options on what missions you want to track. And if you look here, if you go to achievements, right, and you go to one that has something like these, it'll show you what you still need to do for it. All you have to do is click these little boxes and it'll track for you guys. So a lot of quality of life updates that you guys have been asking for.
Great.
We're trying to get that stuff in at the same time we're doing all this other super deep hero stuff too. So as we start working through this stuff, we're going to keep adding more of these quality of life things that you guys want. So
a suggestion from the Victorian asks maybe taking off the display tips for veteran players, like having that be an option. I think would be a great idea as well.
On load screens?
Oh no, when you're just starting the game. Like when you're playing the game, they may be going through the arcane on a new character, like those display tips keep coming out.
Sure, we can definitely we can put that in the list of stuff to add.
Yes.
Yeah,
Great.
this is all these are all changes that we know you guys want to make it a better experience. So keep that info coming, and we will move heaven and earth if we can.
This
to
is
make it
almost
happen.
as bad as
Great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a perfect note to end on. I want to thank MichaelMayhem for coming on the live stream. I want to thank you, obviously Asros, for coming on the live stream as well.
No problem.
I don't think all of you in the Twitch chat. I know things are pretty crazy right now, for sure. But you guys have been very cooperative and been very nice in stream and just saying a lot of nice things and being, answering questions, giving questions, talking to your fellow players, just having a nice sense of respect to everyone.
Yep.
Which is great, and I greatly appreciate that. Like I mentioned before, we do have another live stream planned for the end of the month. My goal here actually is to have a live stream at least twice, 3 times, 4 times a week. So we definitely
A month.
Oh, a month. Oh, yes. Thank you. A month.
3 or 4 times a month?
Yeah, I think eventually.
This guy's ambitious.
I
mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, not
a week.
Yeah.
That'd be your full-time job.
Yeah.
Well, it is. Well, I mean, it's
I
kind
guess
of your
it's
full-time job.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously, maybe even having people sub to our channel, get special perks or icons. Who knows? I'm really saying a lot of things I shouldn't be promising right now. It's too
This
much.
dude's legit, by the way. Like,
Oh.
he's the real deal.
No.
He's got awesome plans for the community, and I cannot wait to see all this. I know, but look at him now. He's all bashful.
Yeah. But thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. We'll let you know as soon as possible when we have the next live stream planned. We'll definitely be able to dive a lot deeper into the mobility changes, to the fleet slider, BIF, all that great stuff, and also answer your questions about the overall changes. I'm sure we'll have you back on again. And my goal is to have a lot more of the developers on again, rotating, just to get a better feel for how they work. And once again, this is a really awesome company where a lot of great people work at. So
It's awesome.
all right. But with that, thank you guys once again for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Yep.
Yeah.